Good morning. Today we're going to take a look at the Workforce Planning module. The Workforce Planning module is a summarization or analysis module that lets you do instant on-screen graphics analysis of the various data that you've collected. To get to the Workforce Planning module with the quickest menu highlighted, enter a W a few times, enter to open it. The workforce planning, it has several canned reports here that you can run to pull out different data. And the first one we're going to look at as far as the graphics analysis is the surface miles. This breaks out the surface miles in your city or county by the division or township or voter precinct, or however you break out your analysis. This graphically shows you the amount of concrete surface as compared to green for gravel in each subdivision area. And we'll take a look at the hours worked button to generate that. What this will do is then pull up the fiscal year you selected. The blue is the regular hours worked, and the red is the overtime hours worked, so you can get a handle on looking at a whole year's worth of data, or the current year if you're in, as it goes through the fiscal year, or it goes through the calendar year. The other we'll take a look at the work tasks by spatial analysis. This will draw up a graph of the geographic area, rough area, and then broken out by the districts, townships, or within a city, voter precincts, or however you have your analysis broken. And it also will show you the type of work done, and then broken out by a bar graph or a pie graph. You also can select a bar graph for a look at that too. The work task analysis shows the type of work being done, like grading, shoulder patching, material patching, sealing, and all. You also, on these graphs, you can right-click and do whatever options are available. We can change this to a bar graph look, and it shows the same data just in a different format. Let's see, we skip the macro ops. The macro ops lets you initially look at the current activity in the month that you're in. So anytime you run this, it'll do a summary on the regular hours that have been worked or have been entered in the system, the equipment runtime hours or miles, and the overtime hours worked, and the dollars of labor expense, material expense, and equipment expense. Also shows you the total projects and the active projects. The fiscal year will then show you the same data but spread out over, and it also will draw up a total when it pulls all those numbers up. You get a handle on your total costs broken out by labor, material, and equipment through the fiscal year. We calc the totals, and we also can send that on out to a graph. We'll select a bar graph. You can add other options on this by, we'll show the data points on it. You can also add, let's see, label all points. We'll give you the dollar amount involved. And this shows it by labor, material, and equipment broken out by a quarter of activity in the calendar year. So that's a couple of things you can pull up. All it does, it takes a little computer time to crank through the data analysis. The work and weather graph is an analysis you can do, and now this feeds out of the service module, service request module, and the complaints module, or they're actually a combined module. And you can pull up the fiscal year you're looking at data, calculates and pulls up the historical, if you've been collecting it in this data. We'll take a look at one of the entry screens. And as you go through each day, if you want to analyze the precipitation and temperature, just enter this in on the day of occurrence, and it'll collect that data for you. Otherwise, it'll just generate the days. Now, once you've done that, you can analyze that data in several different ways. We'll take a look at the asphalt service requests or complaints that have been called in, and we'll call it roadside work. This is right-of-way calls, or however you want to break out your tasks. We'll calculate that data, and we'll take a look at a couple of months here. Once it's calculated and creates the graph, then you click on the monthly tab, pulls up that data, and it'll draw the graph up here with that data. We'll right click here, we'll just look at February, March data, and we'll do a zoom in, and probably zoom in one more level. And on this graph, this is the precipitation. It basically is rather than get down to nitty-gritty on the precipitation, if you want the inches precipitation or the average temperature, look up here. But this shows you proportionally how the months fall in the analysis area. The red graph is the temperature. The yellow bar, we selected asphalt, and this is the number of asphalt work requested by citizens, or service requests or complaints total. And then the green bar here is the number of asphalt complaints you solved in that month. So we've had more called in than were solved. The roadside right-of-way work and that type of work, this is requested, and this shows you the amount resolved. And we can follow it on over to April and see what the called-in amounts were versus the amount solved. Over here we had few asphalt requests called. We solved nearly all of them, and then it follows on through throughout the year. So that'll give you a kind of a quick and dirty look. You also can do an Alt and print screen on your keyboard and capture this screen and paste it into a document if you want to further explain it, or you can save it out to a regular JPEG file or GIF file for inclusion in another type of document. So that kind of covers the workforce planning module. The workforce planning, it's basically a roll-up of data that you have collected in various other modules to give you a really quick analysis. So until then, if you have any questions,